All right, the next lesson in negative effects on technology. We're going to look at TV and executive functions. And we're just going to bring up the textbook. Okay, so this is the page in the textbook that this lesson goes with. What are we up to here? Page 424. Okay, we're looking at the different effects of TV, particularly on working memory. So let's have a look at the lesson plan. All right. Okay, so last lesson we looked at internet memory, and now we're looking at TV and executive functions. All right, so how does TV influence one or more executive functions? One of those executive functions being working memory. Okay, so I'm just going to review quickly what we did last time, and then here is a chance for students you can give the flashcards if you haven't already. There are key terms flashcards, and there are also key study flashcards in the activities file. And check out, I am working on making these a box hard copy set of flashcards as well for all of the studies and key terms in the course. So check out our store for those, and you'll get a notification. But they're not available yet, but maybe by the time you're watching this, they are. So just check out the store. The link is in the description. All right. I like to give students just a few minutes to work on the flashcards and do peer review. I think students agree hard copy flashcards work better than online digital Quizlets, I think. And so I think giving them the flashcards 5 minutes to use the flashcards to review, and then there's a quiz, and this is in the activities file. It might be in the assessment file. It's just simply the key term, and then they have to define it. So working memory, can they define it? Now, students have the idea of what working memory is, hopefully, by this point in the course, but they have to be able to write a precise definition. And so this is, it's really important that they practice this. And I have nothing against memorizing definitions to key terms. But as long as they comprehend their meaning, but be able to articulate and express what those mean exactly. But I think memorizing key term definitions is fine. Again, as long as that memorization comes with comprehension. Okay, so we're a little bit of chalk and talk. Does TV watching affect your brain? So actually, this is a little bit of an experiment. This is an experiment replication that we're going to do here. Okay, so we have to look at gather the data. Now I decided to do this one where instead of the students gathering the data, that the teacher is the only one who sees the students' individual data. We're going to see if watching TV correlates with working memory ability. And students might not want other kids to know their working memory score. I mean, because it is quite strongly correlated with general intelligence and other things. So it might be personal. So on a scrap piece of paper, students write down how many minutes per day do they watch TV. And I would say TV includes YouTube shows, right? So or if they're watching Netflix on their computer. I mean, let's include that's TV, because that kid probably watches zero traditional TV, but they watch a lot of the other general television. All right, and then so as a teacher, you'd collect the data, and again, there's in the activities file, there's the table and everything you need to run this replication, and then they're going to do an end-back test, and there's a link here to take you to the test, and then they can use this one. Now, there's loads of end-back and working memory tests. If you don't like this one, feel free to find another. But it's a little bit tricky, the instructions, but I really like students to do this because you can't explain the end back verbally and get kids to know what it means. They have to try it for themselves. If that first one doesn't work, then this here is another one that they can use. The reason I use a different one is because I think we're going to use this test in another experiment replication. So for this here, okay, if you go reverse is tricky. If you go forwards, it's kind of easier, and the span is 3. And fast, right? So that's quite hard settings. And play around with this yourself as well. This test, it's kind of fun. It's very tricky, and it also shows you you might be better at different times of the day depending on what you've ate, your energy, how your frontal lobe's working. And the way we keep the score here, I would say, is they keep increasing the span until they can't get 2 out of 3. So as soon as they get 2 out of 3 wrong, then that's their span number. So if they get to 8 and they got 2 out of 3, and then they try 9 and they got 1 out of 3, then their score is 8. That's how we record the score. Okay, the results, we can collate the results on the board here. And this is just where you would gather their working memory scores, and then you would gather the TV, and then you calculate the correlation coefficient, and then you can report what it is. Right, okay, and then some chalk and talk. All right, so what we're doing here is replicating Christakis et al.'s. They correlated 1,000 kids looking at how much TV they watched from age 1 and 3, and then correlated with that at age 7. They used pre-existing data from a national longitudinal study. All right, and so they found here the relationship between how much TV you watch at age 1 and 3, 10% more likely to get attentional problems by age 7. Right, and there's their conclusion. Okay, another experiment. So here we're looking at TV and working memory, and the reason we're doing another working memory test for this one So that's why I wanted to do a different one for the first experiment. So there are 3 conditions in this experiment. Again, all the resources that you need are in the activities file in the teacher support pack, so check that out. But you're going to divide your class into 3. One's going to watch SpongeBob, one's watching Kalu, and one's going to draw a doodle. This is exactly what Lillard and Peterson did in the original study, and they also randomly allocated by drawing the numbers from a hat. So now you can adjust this to your time, right? They can watch it for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, however much you like. I think probably 5 minutes would be enough to get the point across. I put here 6 minutes. All right, and feel free to change that though. These are editable. All right, and then again, so they watch they do the independent variable, and then to collect the effects of working memory, we're going to do this test and just the same score that we did the last way. All right, and then we can So what was the highest in digit span score they got? All right, on this span board score. Okay, and then we can discuss. And then think, pair, share. So really getting them to think about how is TV working our mind. And this is really practice. Anytime we talk about working memory, we're really looking at metacognition. Students have to be thinking about their thinking about what is happening when we're watching TV to our thinking. And I think this is really good practice. And this is why I love teaching about working memory. And I'm so pleased I've added it to my course. Okay, chalk and talk, so we can go over the original experiment. All right, essentially what they found was that the kids who watch the fast-paced TV...
iPhone disconnected.
Sorry, people who watch the fast-paced TV like SpongeBob score lower on the working memory test. So Christakis kind of correlates the long-term possible effects, and this is really looking at the short-term possible effects. Again, notes in it. Now, I've got no problem with just giving kids notes here and like essentially an old classic worksheet because the experiment replications are fun and engaging enough, but then we have to actually look at the original study. All right, and then I like the one-sentence essay as an exit ticket, but if you run out of time, of course, skip it. All right, I think that's another pretty fun lesson looking at how TV can affect our working memory. And the next one we've got coming up is looking at, what are we looking at? The next one. Cell phones and inattentional blindness, why you should not text and drive. That's coming up next.